So what is going on YouTube? We are back with another video, and in this video what I want to talk to you guys about is the true benefit of going all in, chasing your passion, your dreams, and not leaving anything on the table. You see, I think so many people in life, they don't set high goals for themselves because they don't believe that it's actually possible. And the nice part about not setting high goals is you don't feel bad about yourself, right, when you don't accomplish all those things. But the nice side of setting big goals is you're going to achieve way more. So if you can become comfortable with not always achieving everything you set out to achieve, or at least not all right away, setting higher expectations of yourself, higher goals, are ultimately going to lead to you taking more action and, getting better more than you would if you set low expectations for yourself. So I think you guys should be, finding what it is that's going to give you that edge in your life. For me personally, it's fitness, and I think like getting into your fitness is something that will level up your life as well. Um, like see where your body is capable of going when it comes to cardiovascular health, physical health, right? Like your endurance, how long can you actually run for? How many miles can you run? Do you have joint pain? Like, do you have the most amount of muscle on your body possible? Like the least amount of fat? Like probably not. You probably could do better. When you start to look at things this way and not get mad at yourself or say like I've done enough, but actually start to tap into what's uncovered or yet to be uncovered, that's when you start to realize that there are other things that you can improve in your life, and life gets better, not when you get that thing, but in the process of becoming that next version of yourself. So I think figuring out a way to, get yourself into a position where you can get better with life, whether that be your physical health, your mental health, whatever. I think like finding those few things and addressing them head on, and then setting goals for yourself is the best way you can do things. For those of you guys that have been following the vlog style, videos, I've been getting back into doing more running, which, yes, I know running is not ideal for like my low battery there. Running is not ideal for like optimizing building muscle mass and whatnot, but I've been at a pretty low pace, and also um, I'm trying to basically maintain as much muscle as I can and see what I can get into in terms of cardiovascular health, because I've never, really pushed myself to the limit in that department as much as I know I could. So that's what we're working on currently. And I've noticed that with like the past few cardio sessions, it just gets so much easier. And, it all starts with just taking like a small habit and then just compiling it with consistency over time, which just happens naturally as days pass and you continue to follow through. And then eventually it gets easier, you do more, you get better, the process improves, right? And so for me, maybe a month and a half ago or so, I started to do maybe even less than that. I just started to walk more. And I would go on walks around my neighborhood outside, and eventually that led into me running some of it. And now it's at a point where I'm running at least half, if not most of it, for the most part. And, I'm going out like for like 4 or 5, even 6 miles. So it's starting to add up, and it's just starting to become easier to understand like what I'm actually capable of. And I think pairing that with also the strength training and like really trying to build as much muscle as I can and maintain as much as I can while I'm doing this cardio training, it's a good feeling, not at any point when I get the thing, but really just like reaching for it. Like you see the goal there and you're attempting to grab it and you don't quite have it yet. But you're getting better in the process of reaching for it. That's what's the fulfilling thing. And I think like when you can push yourself to your limit, it's gonna change you as a person. So like physically, like with building muscle, with getting stronger, like max all of them out, right? Like I think we only get the opportunity to actually be aware of our health and fitness so many times in our life. Like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I think that like the amount of times you actually sit down and think like, wow, I am not where I want to be, right? And I know it, and I'm not setting any, you know, I'm not making excuses, and I'm just sitting with the fact of like, I know I could be doing so much more and actually motivated enough to get started and take action. And with the right knowledge and doing it consistently. Like, I don't think that opportunity presents itself many times because obviously it's hard, right? And so like eventually you're going to stop doing it, um, or I don't know. I guess just where I'm going with that is like when you get the opportunity to take your health into your own hands, jump at it like that. Because personally, each and every time in my life where I'm not in the health that I know I could be, the shape I could be in, and I'm starting to let myself slip a little bit when it comes to like my cardio or my nutrition in the past being off or not being as dialed with my training program, like things of that nature. Like it's always like a month, 2 months later where I'm looking back thinking like, wow, in these pictures, and even I just remember like being that shredded, being that in shape. I wish I could get back to that. Why did I ever let that go? Right. And you don't ever notice yourself starting to slip. Like it doesn't seem like it's that much until afterwards. And then like trying to climb back up that mountain is somewhat challenging, right? And who knows if you'll ever get back to that position you were at. But if you like start back up again, you likely can get there. It's just a matter of like, I don't think you're going to get that many opportunities in your life where you're actually going to be able to be consistent with your overall health, right? And like, you're going to have other priorities in life. So like, you might as well push yourself to the limit and see what you can accomplish, especially if you're on a journey with your own health goals. You're trying to build muscle, trying to lose fat. Like you might as well see what you can accomplish because like one thing I've noticed with my fitness journey, especially as of recent, the past 6 8 months, is like with my nutrition. It used to be so difficult for me to stay on track, and I made these changes, and I used to say like, oh, it's because I cut out with the bad foods, and because I started to look at it differently. But really, I it was mostly like I just started to think about it differently. Like literally, you can have the health, the physique, the confidence, the energy, all these things that you want and feel and look your best just for a little bit of discipline. You literally just have to eat different foods and like be mindful of what you're eating and eat the certain types that are going to align with your goals and your health and also exercise. And it's not even like you have to, like you get to, right? And it's such a good feeling when you're naturally pushing yourself to the limit, when you're getting a good workout in. Like every time I run 3 5 miles, whatever, every time I'm out walking, I'm playing basketball, anything exercise related that I like to do, weight training, being at the gym. Each and every time at the end, I always feel super good and I don't want to leave. I don't want the work to end. Like maybe I might be tired, but like I'm in such a good groove, right? And usually the opposite is the case um, at the beginning, right? When like I've been, maybe tired, sore. Like today was kind of like one of those workouts. Um, my legs weren't too sore, fortunately, so I was able to do lower body, but my cardiovascular system was a bit taxed, and so doing barbell squats for the first time in a little bit because of like getting back into the routine because of a minor thing with my back that came up. It's like okay, this is like kind of tough, and like I don't really feel like doing this. Some days I'm more motivated than others, but at the beginning of the workout, it's going into it. It's at first there's always going to be times where you're not feeling like doing things, right? So at the end of the workout, I've never been at a period where I like regret the workout or like I wish I didn't work out. Like I'm always like I'm so glad I decided to work out, and I would have been in a worse off mood had I not worked out. You know what I'm saying? So I think that just like taking advantage of your health and understanding like it doesn't really have to be that difficult. Like dude, like you can literally start to just eat different foods, right? Like and you're gonna notice too that your taste buds, the way that you perceive food actually starts to change when you make changes, right? So like I remember some of the certain foods I used to eat. Like I understand, I guess why I was kind of eating them because they look good. But when you make the switches and you stop eating, processed things, you stop eating like, say seed oils, you stop eating like processed foods, and not to say like you can never have these things, but just like minimizing it and making most of your nutrition from whole foods. When you do things like that, you're no longer eating like a bunch of like starchy foods all the time and like junk, but like primarily good organic whole food options. What you start to notice is when you're eating those foods, you actually have this like from the outside looking in perspective, where before you were on the inside looking out, right? Like under, like basically when I say inside out, I mean like you looking at people that eat organic foods and it's like how do they enjoy that? They look so gross, blah blah blah. Because I've been on both sides of this, bro, and it's like on the outside looking in, it's like you now know how it seems because you've done it before, and you're looking at people that are on the outside, and you're like, what's going on? And basically, what I'm saying is when you eat these organic foods and you make these nutrition, these lifestyle choices, when you start going to the gym, you appreciate it more. You also look forward to that because your body adapts, right? So your body adapts to its environment. It's like pretty simple. But like if you're eating, you say like waffles, you know, I don't know, like a bunch of just like not ideal foods, right? Like processed things, fried foods. When you're eating at restaurants all the time, not to say restaurants are bad, but like most of it's going to be harder to be processed, to not be processed, to get like quality foods. When you're doing that all the time, your body gets trained to like crave those sorts of foods. And when you make the transition to eating quality foods, like your body is not going to crave that stuff anymore. Like I'm not exaggerating when I say like, yeah, of course, there are times where I eat processed items or, refined carbohydrates or things that aren't ideal, like literally once in a while. But I now prefer and have for a long time foods like eggs, like literally farm fresh or not farm fresh, free range organic eggs. Like literally, I've just past few days I've been drinking them raw, and I used to do that a while back, but I haven't in a while. But they go down so smooth. Literally, like I'm drinking raw eggs, I'm eating chicken breast, without like sauce. Like for the most part, it's pretty much just like seasoning. Not even using olive oil to cook my chicken anymore, bro. It's crazy. But my point of this is like your body adapts and like I actually enjoy that food now. And I'll be eating, foods like for some context, like I cut my carbs down a lot a few months ago for a brief stint. And I noticed that when I did that, it was a lot easier to not eat those foods because I wasn't craving carbs quite as much. And when I brought them back in, for optimizing my training, um, I feel, a bit better. But my body now is craving quality foods and quality items because that's what I'm choosing to put in. So I think you should do the exact same. Put health into your body and realize that when you do that, you're going to feel your best. You're going to perform your best. Like I can't even, you know, talk enough at the fact of like, I used to have like a bunch of like mental health problems that literally cleared up when I started to make transitions and adjustments with my nutrition. And like things started to really open up and I used to feel like super like just horrible all the time mentally and like physically, like I would not have ideal energy and like drinking a bunch of like caffeine and stuff, like like all that sort of stuff. It's like at stages it's cool, right? And you can get by. But ultimately, like when you can optimize your health is when you're gonna feel, look, perform your best. And I've noticed it like now it's like I'm like preferring quality options when it comes to nutrition. It's like very easy for me at this point, and my training is like optimal as well. Like I'm like loving my workouts. I'm progressing, right? And it's like like I feel so good, and I'm nowhere near where I'm gonna be, right? Like I'm really gonna dial in when it comes to like the physique and energy and the conditioning like these next few months. But just like getting back into the swing of things, it's a good feeling, and I think that like anybody watching that doesn't have their health quote unquote optimized, you should at least start taking one action because it will lead to another. And it's pretty simple. Like I know it's overwhelming at times to be like, oh, I have to do all these things. I have to eat the foods, and I have to work out, and I have to do the cardio, and I have to sleep, and I have to work a job or whatever I do, run a business, and I have to prep the food, and I have to do the dishes, and I have to do everything else. Like I get it, right? But I'm telling you from like a perspective of a coach, like these are things that I would tell my in-person clients when I used to train in person, and these are things that I also tell my online clients, right? Like, it's start with small, with the small habits, and it's so true, and it seems cliche and corny, but it's literally so true. Like, start with the small habits. Like, start doing something. Like, if you're not doing any exercise, understand that your body has a very low threshold, which means that because it's not used to a bunch of resistance training, a small stimulus, a small amount of resistance training, your body will adapt to, because your body is not building muscle as you're resisting the weight, right? Like, your body is basically having some sort of adaptation occur, right? So basically, when you're putting the resistance on your weight, on the weight on your muscles, you are going to have to um, basically recover from that, right? And it's like you're just giving yourself just enough, like the minimum effective dose of, like, okay, you're here doing literally nothing when it comes to strength training, just as an example, and now you do, like one exercise, 3 sets, and then, you stretch and you do like 5 minutes on the treadmill and you leave. Your body will make pretty good progress from that. Now, obviously, we want to speed things up, and sometimes we want to get into shape fast. Very common. So that's why people do more. But literally, like, when you look at it from that perspective of like starting small, it's super common. And like, I've had clients I've worked with in the past where they come into the gym and they're like, I want to do 5 days a week. Every single day I want to work out. And I had a client, one of my first clients, who's my third ever in-person training client. He wanted to do like 6 days a week right off the bat. I'm like, whoa, dude, like, how many days are you consistently doing on your own? He's like, like, I'm just getting into it. And I'm like, dude, A, we can get you jacked in 6 days, but B, like, you don't need all that. Like, you literally need probably 3 or 4 days. Like, because think about it like this, right? If you start here, this is your beginner, newbie gains, right? Like, brand new in the gym. This is, 6 days a week, right? If you jump here, now it's like you have to maintain all this 6 days consistent training for a while to like be able to maintain that physique, and also, right, like, your body's not going to be able to recover that easily, making this huge jump, and it's going to be a risk for injury and, you know, things of that nature. So I would say just like stair step, right? Like, start going to the gym, start taking small steps, start going on walks, right? Like, start training a couple times a week. Eventually, you're going to notice that you fall in love with the process and you do it way more and more and more. And like, for me, one thing with my cardio is like those short walks led to me doing running again, long distance training. And now it's like I'm going on pretty far runs, and it gets easier, but you first have to take a small step because it's not as overwhelming once you're in, right? Like, once you're, walking every day, every single day, or every other day going on a walk, and you're training and you're eating pretty decent, right? Like, now it's like, okay, it's really not that hard. It's just more so staying consistent with these few key habits. And then from that point, adding into that. And I've had clients in the past where, again, it's like, let's do everything perfect at the beginning. And then, like, they fall off track. And it's like, dude, just start with 2 or 3 days, maybe 4 if you really are feeling it, and stay consistent with that for the next 6 to 8 months and see what happens. And then it's like, okay, now you've been consistent these past few months. Let's now add in creatine, right? Or like, let's now add in starting to do a little bit of low intensity cardio on the treadmill, for example. Like, people try to skip steps and they're like, I've been consistent with going to the gym for a week. Now let's add in the supplements. And it's like, bro, then people are asking questions like, do I need supplements? Like, it's like, bro, you just need to be consistent with the small habits. Like, all these, do you need to take supplements? Do you need to do X type of cardio versus Y? Like, it doesn't matter. You need a couple of things. You need to literally just like strength train, do cardio, eat healthy. And obviously there's like layers to this stuff. Or, but like, if you can just focus on doing those, like, it's not going to be that hard. Like, when you're feeling like you aren't seeing progress and you've been doing those things for a while, then you're probably stuck in a plateau, which is totally cool and normal, by the way. You just need to make adjustments and tweaks. And that's why, like, my clients in my program, I make tweaks as we go along in the program. If they're making super good results, we're going to keep things how they're going. If they're not making results quite as fast, then we're going to make some modifications, right? Like, maybe they're going to drink more water, they're going to eat more carbs, they're going to eat less carbs, they're going to sleep more, train, more frequently, taking another rest day. Like, it varies, but like, you just make adjustments, right? And that's going to allow you to be consistent. All the clients of mine that have started with the basic few key habits, and then from that point transitioned into getting better with the next habits. Eventually, after 6, 8, 10 months, a year, they're super consistent, super dialed in with all the habits because they just took it one step at a time. But the people that try to jump and skip steps, they oftentimes get burnt out unfortunately. And then it's like 3, 4 months later, they're doing nothing at all. And so I think you guys should just start to get closer to that perfect ideal point, but it's never going to feel easy. So just start with one habit at a time, and then it'll carry over into the next. Hopefully that helps some of you guys out there just feeling like fitness and training and optimizing your health, your life is the way to do it, because we only have one life, right? So thanks for checking out this video. Make sure that you stay tuned. Check me out on Instagram at JStridefit. If you guys are ready to level up your physique, you can message me on there and just let me know, like, I'm ready. Excuse me, I'm ready to achieve my ideal physique. And summertime is coming up in the next like 2, 3 months. So getting in shape is, the time is now if you want to be in shape, right? Because you have a couple months to get into shape, 2, 3 months, 4 months, give it, for you to really dial things in. So like the time for you to start that, if you want to be in shape this summer, is like right now or within the next month. So just think about that. If you guys are serious, you can message me the word ready on Instagram at JStridefit, and I'll know like what you're talking about, and we can get cracking. I'll set up a call, see if I'm able to help you achieve your ideal physique. Nonetheless, thanks for staying until the end of this video. I'm going to read some more of my book and then go the heck to bed because it's awfully late. And I'll see you guys in the next video.